Hi, I'm Abigail Hing, the New York Times bestselling author of Love Boat Taipei, which is being adapted for film and for which I'm serving as an executive producer. I also work in artificial intelligence leadership in Silicon Valley. I have an opportunity to speak about AI tech leadership, policy and ethics, diversity and culture around the world. Today, my life looks successful, but the journey here has been far from straightforward. 5 years ago, I was struggling to move into leadership and to be seen by people at work. 2 years ago, I was crying on my couch, feeling like I had done nothing well. Today, I want to tell you how I was able to go from those low points to where I am now, and where I hope the journey continues. I've been writing novels for 12 years. During that time, I've also been working in a large tech company in Silicon Valley. The manager who had originally hired me over 8 years ago had been moved into a different group, and I had since gone through a series of different managers, each with their own strengths and weaknesses. One day, 5 years ago, I found myself in my newest manager's office. He asked me what I wanted for my career, and I asked him to help me grow as a manager. He blinked. "You mean of people?" he asked. In Barack Obama's memoir, he talks about that moment every Black child goes through when he encounters racism for the first time. I'd had those encounters as a child growing up in Ohio, but since then I had come a long way, or so I thought. I graduated from Harvard, where women panelists at Radcliffe told us young female students what they had gone through as professional women in their day, and that the world would be different for us. I'd worked with a string of amazing leaders, including Senator DeWine from Ohio, Judge Judith Rogers of the DC Circuit Court of Appeals, and partners at Sullivan and Cromwell. I had joined the workforce, feeling like an equal among my peers. I'd run projects and closed billion-dollar deals and worked closely with the CEOs of public companies. And throughout those years, I perceived myself as a leader. But in that moment, with my new manager, I had an awakening. I realized he saw me completely differently than I saw myself. The vision, skills, and passion I brought to the table, he simply didn't see. And that was another aha moment for me. For the next several years, I tried to change his perception of me, and only recently realized that he would never see me the same way. 2 years ago, why was I crying on that couch? 2 years ago, I applied for 2 promotions. I came in number 2 for both of them, and the feedback I got from the same person was that I had executive presence and I was good at building a rapport with people, but I wasn't as supportive or detail-oriented. And in the other case, I wasn't as technical as the other attorney. I had finished a draft of my latest novel, and my agent didn't want to read it. So there I was on the couch. I was crying in my living room, feeling that I'd done everything wrong. Maybe I'd spread myself too thin across my creative and corporate life. Maybe I just wasn't good enough. And here I was, and I'd ended up with nothing. But then everything changed. A senior woman in my department, she gave me a call. She'd helped me prepare for my interviews and gotten to know me in the process. She knew I was interested in public speaking, and she gave me my first opportunity to speak at a women's AI conference on ethics and policy in Manhattan. She encouraged me to keep going. Another vice president who'd championed me throughout the interview process also took me under his wing. I ended up getting a new job he created, working as his chief of staff. I went out and I found another agent for Love Boat Taipei, and it ended up selling at a multi-house auction, becoming one of the largest acquisitions for HarperCollins over the past few years. A lot of people have asked me, what happened? What changed for you in that moment? And when I look at it and I think about it, I think it's that I just kept putting myself out there. And I was rejected over and over. But in the process, I also found the people I resonated with, like the woman who gave me the chance to speak, like my new agent, and like my manager who asked me how I was buried in the corporation. I got executive coaching to grow as a leader. I did 360 interviews to find out how I was being perceived by the people I worked with. I got published in Fortune and Forbes on AI, and I began to speak on AI policy and tech around the world. I ended up in a role that was so much more significant than those 2 that I had applied for. No one was more gleeful than my manager when my novel hit the New York Times list, and he wanted to go around telling everyone, "See, I told you so." With the success of the book, I found myself on a national tour, walking into TV interviews with NBC Bay Area and Bloomberg, using all those public speaking skills that I've been honing in my talks around the world. I'd also been hearing about people feeling unseen in their own workplaces, and it was an opportunity for us to share and to connect and to talk about ways we could do things differently. So now I'm running into another challenge. I have two enormous jobs, the creative and the AI world. And frankly, I'm not sure that it's sustainable to do both. While I've been debating with myself, my business unit went through a complete reorg, and I find myself needing to find another job at my company or leaving. And I realize I have to make a decision whether to keep working on this traditional path or go down this other one. But even after writing a book about a girl who chooses to follow her dreams versus the traditional path laid out by her parents, it's still a really hard decision for me. Maybe it's the usual cultural fears of taking a risk, instability, not having a real job. We're in the middle of the COVID pandemic crisis. It seems like an important time to have a traditional role. And there's also a fear, deep set, that I'm never going to be seen again by anybody besides my manager and the few who have seen me. So I've done a bunch of interviews. I put myself out there again. It's been surprisingly hard. I still find myself writing to people who don't understand me, they don't resonate with what I'm trying to do, or vice versa. I've had a number of new opportunities, but none that I'm really excited about. And I've done a lot of searching. What do I want to do? What do I stand for? I've had to think about what really matters to me. The one job that I am excited about is one I've been thinking about for a while, and that's doing a podcast for AI, where I can continue to help shape conversations and elevate different voices around the space and topics of ethics and representation and bias in the algorithms. It feels like a great fit for my skills, especially after my book tour, which I really enjoyed. So I proposed a podcast to a few groups, but it didn't resonate with them. Then one person received my resume and responded with great enthusiasm. He said, "Let's meet right away. I'm excited to meet you. I'm trying to get into podcasting myself," he said when I met him. He had a couple samples that he was going to send me, and then I said, "Great, I'm excited. I think this is a great partnership. I've done a lot of speaking myself. If you want to look me up on Google, or I'm happy to send you some samples." And in that moment, he gave me a look I recognized. It was the same look that manager 5 years ago had given me, and he said that he saw the role as behind the camera's role, securing speakers for him, managing his calendar, and helping to develop content for him as a host. And I was completely crushed. Even after the New York Times, after speaking around the world, after this national book tour, after being on TV, he still didn't see me. But this time, it took me less time to get over being crushed. On tour, I'd heard those stories of Asian Americans and other women who weren't being seen at work and how that had to change. And here I was again, and I recognized it. So I went to my mentor, a senior woman in the corporation, who told me that the job actually wasn't worth negotiating. It was a huge relief. I was actually ready to go and try to work out a role where I could at least co-host 1 or 2 episodes in exchange for doing all the behind-the-scenes work. And I realized in this moment that I don't have to try to fit myself into the boxes that are available to me. It's been really difficult, but I am finally ready to forge a new path. I don't know what lies ahead. All I know is I want to raise questions and engage in meaningful conversations about the way we live and the future of our world. I will be writing novels and short stories, working on film, and hopefully moving into producing, and then finding the right combination of all these things. I'm realizing that it's enough that I see myself, along with key people that I trust. And for those of you with a similar crossroads, I encourage you to find your inner strength and the courage to take a bet on yourself. So I turned down the behind the camera role. I turned down another business development role and the opportunity to manage a multi-billion-dollar customer account. On Friday at 3:30, I sent an email into the world saying that after much exploration, I'd come to realize my path lay outside the company. I'm ready to step out on my own into uncharted paths. It's exciting and terrifying. And what all my explorations have shown me is it's the right choice to go out and simply be myself. Thank you. "30 minutes after I sent out that farewell email, I received several emails and phone calls. I was given the offer to host the company's official AI podcast. I have carte blanche to shape it as I see fit, and I don't even have to negotiate how to co-host. So my takeaway is by understanding who I am and taking the risk to be true to what I stand for, I've been able to get the exact blend of work that I've been looking for. And so I'm excited to take this next step forward, and I hope you come along for the ride.